Phoebe, welcome home.
Hello, Piper.
It's so good to see you.
Hi.
Isn't it, Prue? I'm speechless.
These videos are not for children. If you are a children, then piss off.
Hey there, I'm Infuso. And unless you watched one of my other videos where I may have made mention of this, you may be surprised to learn that I was actually a Charmed fan growing up. I mean, I like it less now, but I still like it, to a degree. I like it enough to be a 27-year-old man and own this. Yeah, that was a fun day walking that up to the cash register. That was a moment I don't wish to relive. The show was about the power of three. Three powerful sisters learning to hone their witch-like abilities. The most powerful of which, no pun intended, being Prue. Prue Halliwell was the leader of the three, being the oldest and the most responsible. She was the intelligent, strong, kick-ass, and take-no-name sister. She didn't have the unique abilities her sisters Piper and Phoebe had, but her magic was always depicted as being that much stronger than theirs. She was by far the most reasonable and grown-up of the three leads, and she was probably my favorite part of the show. The Prue character was played by Shannen Doherty, who rose to fame for her role in Beverly Hills 90210, a show in which she was unceremoniously kicked off early for allegedly being hard to work with behind the scenes. She had a number of issues with a number of castmates, but apparently the point of no return was when she started having issues with her co-star Tori Spelling, who just so happened to be the show producer's daughter. So yeah, probably not the best move. You're probably gonna wanna make nice with somebody like that. Now, I'm not gonna say nepotism, but I already did, so there it is, nepotism. You wanna make nice with them. Long story short, without her, the show went on. And 4 years after leaving that show, Aaron Spelling actually decided to work with her again when he put together Charmed, which was a good call. She was a great addition to the series, and I would even go so far as to say she was a highlight of the earlier episodes. She had incredible chemistry with her on-screen sister Piper, because Piper's actress Holly Mary Combs was actually really good friends with Shannen for a full decade prior to the show beginning. Her and her other on-screen sister Phoebe, played by Alyssa Milano, not so much. Chemistry wasn't great, but that might be because there was apparently some tension between the two behind the scenes. Yeah, it seems that Shannen apparently found herself in yet another real-life rivalry with another person that she shared a set with. And once again, it would lead to her early dismissal. Allegedly. In the Season 3 finale titled All Hell Breaks Loose, an episode Shannen herself directed, the character Prue Halliwell was killed off. In a pretty lame way, might I add. I mean, don't get me wrong, she did die a hero, and that's nice, but the way it happened, I don't know, you just expect more with the death of a protagonist. Let alone a main protagonist. I feel like I've seen other people in the series go through much worse than that, and they still live to tell the tale. Hell, some of them died and then lived again to tell the tale anyway. But that's neither here nor there. I think what's most surprising to me is that Prue's death was the last the show ever saw of the character. Now, upon hearing that, you may think, yeah, duh. Obviously she died. That's it. End of story, move on. But death didn't really mean the end for a lot of other Charmed characters in the series. Just going off the top of my head here, both the Charmed one's mother and grandmother died, but came back as Force ghosts and also in flashback scenes. Several characters in the show die but are revived by the demon Abraxas. One of my personal favorite characters in the series, Cole, dies but is later shown in limbo. Even series lead Piper died about 9 or 10 times throughout the show's run and still came back and made it all the way to the finale. Come to think of it, Paige and Phoebe died a bunch of times too. They're still there. Pretty much everybody dies, and just a couple episodes later they show up like, hey, what's going on? You guys catch the Red Sox game last night or what? These are just some examples, and let me emphasize some, because there are many more examples of characters dying and then showing back up after the fact. As a matter of fact, in post, let me pull up something here, and I'm sure you'll be able to see a couple people that have come back from the afterlife in Charmed. But Prue?
Nope, 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 nope.
That's a lot. Right. What? Why are there so many?
There was an arc with Piper trying to learn to accept her death, though unsurprisingly Phoebe seemed to be completely fine with it. Go figure. But once they got past that initial story, Prue was pretty much gone and forgotten. I think where it was felt for me the most is in the final scene of the show. You're showed a bunch of pictures of the Charm sisters over the years, and not a single image of Shannen Doherty was anywhere to be seen. Writers have since come forward and said that they fought tooth and nail to try and include pictures of Prue or even flashback scenes. But they were told not to do so because the WB would allegedly have to pay Shannen her original episodic deal. So just a singular picture of the character meant that Shannen would get paid for a full episode's work. And at the time, the WB just didn't have the budget for that. Not that it matters anyway, because that's all bullshit. It's untrue. That was not the case. But they said it was for some reason. I mean, sure, yeah, they'd probably have to dig in their pockets and give her a little bit of change. But she definitely wouldn't be getting a full episode's payday. So with that in mind, with that kind of tactic, I think it's safe to say that there were definitely some hard feelings following her departure. Now, it's been widely debated about why the series chose to off the oldest Charmed one, with a lot of people pointing fingers at her co-star and on-screen sister, Alyssa Milano. And despite their feud being behind the scenes, it was very public. Apparently, tension got so bad on set between the two of them that they refused to speak to each other. And the only time they would ever interact was during their scenes. This apparently also included rehearsal. They wouldn't say a word to each other until the cameras were actually rolling. It's never been officially confirmed, though it has been spoken about a lot in passing that Alyssa Milano might have even gone so far as giving the show's producers an ultimatum that either Shannen leave or she would. It should also be noted that others say that while Alyssa Milano did in fact give producers this ultimatum, it was Shannen who apparently didn't give them a chance to fire her, as she herself went to the higher-ups and demanded to be taken off the show. And while this narrative seems to be pretty substantiated by anybody who's ever shared a set with the two, Alyssa Milano herself doesn't seem to agree with it.
Alyssa Milano versus Shannen Doherty.
Reports claim that Shannen Doherty left her TV series Charmed over a behind-the-scenes feud with co-star Alyssa Milano.
These two young actresses were friends until one of them started causing trouble on the set of their primetime hit. In the beginning, the three were such good friends that Shannen and Holly served as bridesmaids at Alyssa's 1999 wedding.
We were all friends, and at times we weren't.
I don't want to work with people who bitch about their job and complain about it and say that, they hate it or anything else. There was too much drama on the set and not enough passion for the work.
Sources say Shannen's me-first behavior sunk the friendship.
When we spoke with Alyssa Milano's publicist, she told us, quote, "Everyone is excited about getting a fresh start this fall."
According to reports, Shannen demanded to be in the middle of all publicity photos, shoving Alyssa off to the side.
I'm 30 years old and I don't have time for drama in my life anymore.
Shannon and Alyssa stopped speaking to each other and only communicated when their characters were forced to interact.
Say 3 nice things about Alyssa Milano. That's positive.
I was just wondering, what was it truly like working with Shannen Doherty?
Sometimes you don't always get along with the person 24/7 that you work with.
There were definitely some rough days.
Are there times that were rough? Yeah, I think that, when you work that closely together, there's always going to be times that are rough.
It was very much sort of like high school. I would hope that in our 30s that it wouldn't be like that anymore.
She didn't go to high school. What are we talking about here?
She's pretty. She's pretty. She's pretty.
According to reports, Alyssa finally threatened to quit unless Shannen disappeared.
I don't know if she got fired. We never really found out what happened, or I never found out what happened as far as why she left.
Shannen says that after 3 seasons on Charmed, she felt the work was no longer fulfilling.
I was just wondering if you were surprised when you were the sister to be killed off in Charmed.
I wasn't, because it was something I'd been asking for. I had a tendency to get very bored. And as an actor,
I always like playing different characters. So playing the same character all the time was extremely, extremely difficult for me.
But producers didn't have to pick sides. Shannen left the series after just 3 seasons.
The actress announced her departure only last month. She actually made plans to leave as early as last December.
We were told that there were creative differences, and Erin decided to let, her go.
Whether she jumped or was pushed is still up for debate.
And you know what may be the most screwed up part of all of this? Following Shannon's exit from the show, Alyssa replaced her in the opening credits as being the top billed performer. You guys see that? Poison Ivy just checkmated Little House on the Prairie like it was nothing. I think a big factor in proving this to be true is the sometimes utter disdain it looks like the two have for each other on camera. They just don't come off as sisters. And if they were siblings in real life, they'd be the kind who never really ever spoke to each other past living at their parents' house. Like me and my sister. You just couldn't meet two people who cared any less about each other. If memory serves me correctly, and mind you, I am just going off memory here, but I don't really think they had a whole lot of screen time with each other during the last couple episodes that Prue was around for. Phoebe wasn't even in the room when Prue died, it was just her and Piper. Now, while all this may be true, I think it should also be stated that while Shannen Doherty has vaguely alluded to this feud being the reason for her early departure from one of her most famous roles, there might have been other elements at play here as well. Shannen has described her time on the show as entirely passionless. She does admit that she enjoyed her time there, but she wanted better writing, better plots, and she just overall thought the show could be better than what it was. And maybe she was asked to leave because those in charge usually don't like being told how to do their jobs or how to improve doing their own jobs. I know for me personally, you guys always come to the comment section, V, I don't like your avatar. V, your name's stupid. But unfortunately, I can't fire you guys because you guys are my money. I just have to put up with that. That's a me thing. I could easily see this being the case. But being how both Shannen and Alyssa have reacted over the years to when they're questioned about their alleged feud, I think it's safe to say that there's probably some merit there. Though it seems that in present day the bad blood is finally boiled over. In 2020, Shannen and Alyssa have finally made amends. The two are much more mature and further removed from the situation, so it's probably easy for them to respectfully go their own ways, now that they've disrespectfully gone their own ways 15 years ago. But it's still nice to see, it's a good thing. What's really interesting is that before they landed on hiring the actress they did hire, and we'll get to her in a minute, to take Shannon's place, they actually at first offered the role to Tiffany Amber Thiessen, the very actress who actually replaced Shannen Doherty on 90210. And could you imagine if she decided to take that role 4 years after taking another role from her? I almost wish that was the case, because that would be one hell of a trivia bullet point. They also allegedly offered the role to Jennifer Love Hewitt, but that's less interesting, so I'm just going to move on from it. One thing I will say that I respect about the show is rather than just drop Shannen and recast a new actress in her place the following season, they instead opted to bring in a new character entirely, which, to me at least, is almost always the better option. Rose McGowan came into the picture as Paige Matthews, the previously unknown half-sister of the Hallowells. She was the secret love child between the Charmed One's mother and her White Lighter, which is basically this universe's version of a guardian angel. So she was part witch, part angel, full Charmed One. The character was intelligent, but still a bit naive. Not only due to her being the youngest sister, but also due to her inexperience in the world of magic. She had an attitude to her, but it didn't make her entirely unlikable. It kind of just made her seem, I don't know, real. Look, all I'm saying is this could have very easily been Dawn from Buffy, and nobody wanted that. They made her very distinct from both Prue and her remaining sisters as well, giving her her own unique powers and personality. It probably would have been easier for the crew to just build her as Prue 2.0, and move on with their lives after it. The dynamic stays the same, they could repurpose old scripts they might have lying around, but no, they actually did a really good job of establishing this new sister as a brand new addition to the show. While Prue's absence was definitely still felt, and Shannen Doherty was missed, both critics and fans alike actually responded pretty positively to this change. Though I will say with the debut of Paige, there felt like there was a bit of a decline at the show, and maybe that's just me. Don't get me wrong, I did continue to watch the show when I was younger, and I do intend on watching the full thing again for this channel, but there's a major difference between a Prue Charmed and a Post-Prue Charmed. You see, initially what interested me about the show when I was younger is that it could almost be put on the same level as Buffy and Angel. Not quite, but almost. It was almost there. A supernatural underground hiding in plain sight. Demons, witches, and all that magical bullshit. It was a show about the bond between three superpowered sisters, and the adventures, or misadventures, that they'd find themselves in. Whereas when Prue was dismissed from the show, there was definitely more emphasis put on the relationship problems of the three sisters. It just became very melodramatic and kinda soap opera-y. And don't get me wrong, I still like the show, but it, for me at least, pales in comparison to what it once was, and what I was hoping it would grow into. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't romance in the first 3 seasons of the show, because there was. But in season 4 and up, it kind of seemed to be like the focal point of everything. And that much kind of irked me a bit. But still, they had a show. So with Prue gone and Paige arriving, with Shannen out and Rose in, this led to a much less hostile work environment, of course. And the 3 Charmed ones were now just as close behind the scenes as they were in front of...
Your former Charmed co-star, Alyssa Milano. Are you proud of her?
I don't like her.
Why?
Because I think she's a lie.
Oh, well, I guess not. Yes, it would seem that the drama and tension on set didn't end with Shannon's departure. Though Rose has publicly said in interviews that the role was her favorite and she enjoyed her time on the show, in recent years, mostly in her autobiography, she's since recanted those statements, citing issues with Alyssa Milano and the crew as well. She said that she wasn't a fan of the storylines that she was put in, and sometimes just downright didn't understand them. She claimed that those behind the scenes were disrespectful to her. Rose has admitted to not making friends during her time on set, explaining that she didn't really get along all that well with her co-stars. She just apparently didn't involve herself with them at all.
Do you think I don't know these people?
She mentioned that behind the scenes things felt a little cliquey, and also mentioned that there was plenty of infighting. So I guess there goes that reunion.
Is there ever going to be a Charmed reunion anytime soon?
Will there be a Charmed reunion anytime soon?
I hope we're all drunk and high on coke.
Anyway, contributing Degenerates, let me know in the comment section below who was the better Charmed sister. Which Hallowell are you backing in a fight? For me, I'm not gonna lie, I like them both, but I'm gonna have to go with the OG Prue. Though I will give Rose McGowan her due. She did have a good chemistry with the cast, and I think that she had her place. But I still will always prefer the older episodes with the older sister.
Okay, whatever. You can see your name.
I'm the Clown Prince of Crime, and that was the Prince of Personality, the Infuso, or so he says. So if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole and you too want to become a VTard, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow the man on Twitter, because it's not stalking if it's on the internet after all. Join the fun by joining the Discord. If for some strange reason you want to show support, and I don't know why you would, and if you have $1 to spare, head over to the SIJW's Patreon, where you can request videos, get exclusive content, and early access to scheduled videos. Or head to his PayPal, where you can buy the shirts. Oh, aren't those lovely? And just remember, if you're not tuning in, you're missing out. Yeah.